Assalamu alaikum and welcome to day 4 of the 20 by 20 Wellbeing Challenge. Shamil here, your host, with my co-host.
Assalamu alaikum. This is Shazia Laving. Thank you for being back today for another riveting session. And as we have been talking about for the past few days, the theme for this year's Wellbeing Challenge is an inspiring quote by Imam Ali, which is, "You presume you are a small entity, but within you is unfolded the entire universe." And our talks throughout this season are going to embody this quote.
Yes, so as you can see, we've had a bit of technical issues. Our studio, alhamdulillah, is a great place, a safe space, but inshallah, we're working on perfecting things for you in the coming days. But before we begin, let me start by thanking Dubai Jamaat for giving us this platform, thanking the Wellbeing team of Dubai Jamaat for also giving us this platform and helping us set up the Wellbeing Challenge. As we said on day 1 and every day that we keep saying, anyone who wants to reach out, please, we have an email address that you can send an email to. It's strictly confidential. Only one person will get that. Whatever you have, please write in. It's bewell@ksimcdubai.com. And we also have a WhatsApp number, which is 043982121. Now, before we begin, Sister Shazia, remember yesterday's session?
Oh, absolutely. Do you, Uncle Shamil? Actually, we have decided that I will start calling him Uncle Shamil because that is what I'm used to, and I do prefer it that way. So from Brother Shamil, it will be Uncle Shamil.
Okay, you make me sound old, but inshallah khair. So yesterday's session was all about sukoon, and I can still feel that energy over here.
Absolutely.
Yeah?
The sukoon, what we learned yesterday from Sister Sarah, it was very deep, very knowledgeable, different aspects of different things that she spoke about. And it's basically connecting to the divine that helps us get closer to our purpose in life, to getting and sustaining that peace. What do you think, Uncle Shaman?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, we are all on this journey together. We're not alone. But if we hold on to him above, definitely we will get our answers. Yeah. So, inshallah, let's get into today's session because I'm really looking forward to this.
Oh, I'm definitely looking forward to this. So without further ado, let's introduce our speaker for day 4 of the 20 by 20 Wellbeing Challenge Season 2. And yes, we have introducing Sister Shirin Versi Jeraj. With over 20 years of experience, Sister Shirin is a mental health first aider, a pre-marriage counselor, teacher, facilitator, public speaking coach, and an avid baker. Sister Shirin has worked in different capacities within the Dar Islam Jamaat in guiding young adults within a host of areas. She was also invited as a judge on the panel of the inaugural Voice of the Community event under KSIMC Dar es Salaam. And her topic for today is relationships, my way or our way. And we are lucky enough to have Sister Shirin with us in the studio. Can we introduce Sister Shirin, please? Assalamu alaikum, Sister Shirin. Thank you for joining us today.
Alaikum salam. It's truly my pleasure.
Thank you so much. Sister Shirin, tell us, why did you select this topic today for us?
Relationships?
Yes.
It's something that's very close to my heart. I see that a lot of people suffer day to day in their lives. They could be at work, they could be at school, they could be at home, they could be anywhere. But if they do not have a good relationship with their loved ones, they are miserable. Our relationship with Allah is with us. It's how we connect to Him. And may He accept whatever we do. with khulus, but our relationships with each other are not always in our hands, and many a times when that is not working out very smoothly, the side effects or the disappointments or the repercussions are so bad and so painful, and it hurts me to see that. When I'm talking about relationships, I'm not necessarily talking about husband and wife. It could be parents with their children, it could be siblings with each other, it could be friends, anywhere where there is a relationship of two or more people. And if it is not working out, and when they come to me for guidance, or if I can be of any help or straighten things out for them, it gives me the sense of well-being, the sense of happiness, because I'm making a difference. So I chose this topic because I said there's so many people who want to reach out, they don't know how to. There are so many people who are suffering and they don't know how to take the first step. People want to fix their relationships, but sometimes there's so much bitterness and so much hurt. Sometimes ego takes a step, sometimes it's other things. Where is the starting point?
Right. Absolutely.
So that is where I felt that if I could make a difference in this very sensitive topic, why not?
Fantastic, fantastic. I mean, it's great that you say the importance of relationships is absolutely amazing. And just yesterday, I think I was reading something that said that if our relationship with Allah is not strong, how can we expect our relationship with each other to be strong?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because first of all, you have to be true to yourself. We are the only ones who know ourselves best. You may be living with someone for 20, 30 years. They may not know you as well. Your own parents sometimes will be surprised by some of the things you do. We are sometimes surprised by some of the steps or actions or decisions that our children make. So it is, very important to be authentic to ourselves first. And that is when we can be authentic in our relationships with others. I feel that everybody wears a mask.
Okay.
And sometimes it's very few people that we unmask ourselves in front of, But again, there are certain times where certain things are so sensitive, nobody knows. It's just hidden within us, and sometimes we're scared to share it with anybody. And I feel that, especially in a marriage, there should not be any curtain, there should not be any barrier between the two of you. If you have chosen to live your life together, then there should be complete openness and communication and transparency. And once you have that, and when you have children, they see that, they learn from that, and they can carry it forward in their lives.
Wonderful.
Definitely. Sister Shirin, tell me, is every relationship and handling relationships the same? So, for example, with friendships, with spouses, is it like, for example, if you want to be vulnerable with your spouse? I think vulnerability is something that's not often talked about, and it's very crucial because, like, again, you put up a front, especially with your spouse. You're going to spend the rest of your life with this person. And how much do you think vulnerability plays a role in such relationships?
A big role, a very big role. You can only be vulnerable in front of someone you trust fully. I'm talking about 100% trust. I'll give you an example, a personal example. So I'm in Dubai for a week. And of course, I've been out and about and I've been shopping. I trust my husband, he trusts me fully. But there is no way I'm going to tell him do all the shopping that I've done, right? That's going to come out of my suitcase and straight into my cupboard.
Yeah.
That does not mean that I do not trust him. I do. But there are certain things that you just don't want to share with somebody.
Yeah.
But this was just something on the side. But normally, for you to be able to trust somebody, to be open and vulnerable in front of somebody, the trust level has to be 100%. And for that to happen, your communication and your relationship with each other has to be on par as well. Now, when I'm talking about trust, Another key factor that is connected to that is respect. Unfortunately, in today's time, a lot of relationships are based more on tolerance than on respect. If you are tolerating somebody, you are just accepting or adjusting to their beliefs, to their thoughts, to their actions. But when you are trusting, I mean, when you are respecting that person, it comes from deeper within. You are not just doing it because you have to, you are doing it because you want to. Going back to what we said, being vulnerable, I gave you an example of husband and wife. Another example that I would like to share is with children and parents. Parents put a lot of pressure on their children to do well in school, in uni, at work, in everything. As a parent, I would want my children to excel in on every level. But when we put too much pressure, or when we have this comparison basis with their nieces, with our nieces and nephews, or with our friends' kids, or with their cousins or siblings or anything, and those kids can't perform. Either they can't or they are doing the best that they can, but it's not enough. What happens is they start hiding things from the parents, or they will start lying. And what's happening for these kids is they are realizing that I can't be honest. If I am saying this, I cannot understand math, or I cannot understand biology, or whatever subject. And my parents are telling me, but your brother is doing really well. The rest of the class is doing really well. Why can't you? Instead of finding out or getting to the crux of what is the problem, what is the hindrance, we are like putting more pressure that you are the problem. And if you keep on doing this on every socially, emotionally, spiritually, academically, what happens is the child starts disconnecting. Forget how the child feels, how the child's self-esteem and everything goes. But that connection that the child has with the parent starts diminishing. And that natural love and respect then goes to tolerance. And the trust also reduces. If I tell my parents, they won't be happy. If I share my challenges, they will think I am not, not up to par, or I'm not smart enough, or not strong enough. I'm not doing as well as others. So these are the challenges, and why people are not okay being vulnerable in front of people who are very close and loved ones.
It's very interesting you said this. I mean, just speaking on the children and the parents example, in your experience, is there a relationship between, or a connection between, how we maintain our relationships and our health? Is there any bridge between the two?
Absolutely. See, if you are happy in your relationship, everything looks so much nicer and brighter, and there's a swing in your step. You're just happy. When you come out, that's how I feel many a times, that the air is so much fresher, everything looks so nice. So there's a fragrance in the air. It couldn't be nothing. It's just but it's how my mental health is. But when you're miserable, everything looks gloomy and sad. And studies have shown that if you are unhappy in your relationship, any relationship, it has a direct effect on your mental and physical health. So I've been speaking to a few people recently who are going through a lot of issues. And a lot of them are having issues with when they go to sleep, they are grinding their teeth. And this is something that a lot of dentists are facing with children and with adults. That because that stress and anxiety is going on in their head, in their sleep, when they can't control their thoughts or their dreams, they are grinding their teeth, which is causing a lot of pain, and teeth are getting, eaten away, eroded, whatever. So they have to use mouth guards and so many different things. This is just a physical thing that people are going through, like maybe substance abuse, because they can't cope. So they're going to that coping mechanism. They are either binge eating, or they are like harming themselves, or going through so many like different kinds of issues. Mental health issues. They're going through depression. They're going through anxiety, through sleep disturbances, So when you are unhappy, the pattern continues. It causes all these things to happen. And when that happens, it causes you even more misery and you are even more miserable. So it's a vicious cycle. If you can fix that problem, automatically, like a dominoes effect, everything gets better. So to answer your question, yes, unhappiness or being sad or miserable has a direct effect on our physical and mental health.
Definitely. And I think the fact that you brought this up, we have generational trauma. Some people call it
Yes.
generational trauma, right? And
Definitely.
because of our own unhealed traumas, we get into relationships,
Yes.
and then we have children. And because we are so unhealed and we are unaware that this is because of our own trauma, we're putting it onto our children. So I think it's great that you brought this up, because we need to, what we say, what my generation says, that we need to stop the cycle, break the cycle.
Definitely.
Yeah? So how do you think we should work on this?
You know, when I speak to my bride, especially because we have a lot of bride and groom counseling back home in Dar es Salaam, when a couple gets engaged and they sign up for either a one-on-one or a workshop session, and we talk to them that when you are starting a new relationship, park all your issues. In fact, even before you get engaged, either discuss the trauma and try and find a way of dealing with it. Try and get professional help if you can, and then move forward. Make sure that your partner understands that it's not because of him or her that you are acting or reacting in a certain way. And not just you, your parents and your family as well. But it is because of unhealed trauma that you are dealing with.
Mhm.
So that is something that, and that's not just in for, you know, for people getting engaged or for couples or for anybody. This is something that we even tell teachers, you know, madrasa teachers, school teachers, that when, like, you know, it's a very important fact that when you come to the classroom, park your own personal baggage, your own personal trauma outside. Come in as a fresh new person, as a new entity, because you are there to teach these children or teach whoever something new, something important, and don't let your trauma affect or color your way of giving them whatever you are planning on giving. So I would say in relationships, before dealing with it, first you have to be able to identify. Once you have identified that trauma, that is half the battle. Unfortunately, a lot of this trauma is not identified. And once you move on with that relationship and there's anything that triggers, it acts as a catalyst. And then you don't know how to handle it, your partner doesn't know how to handle it, and things go completely out of control. So, to answer your question, it is very important first to identify the trauma and then to get help and be able to discuss it with your partner or your loved one.
So, just continuing on this, I mean, wonderfully explained. So, if, let's say once it's identified, yeah, and now you take the next step, which is communicating about it with each other. What's the best way that you can communicate with your loved ones?
So, see, many a times when we are communicating, and many a times I'm guilty of that as well, we are not listening to understand, to respond. We are listening to react. A person may not have finished speaking, but we picked up the first two, three words or the first sentence, and our mind starts working. Either we go on defensive mode or we go on offensive mode. We don't let the person finish what they are talking about, you know. And here's another thing coming up with vulnerability. When someone is trying to open up, oh, so you did this because of, you know, it's so difficult to open up to somebody. If a child has done something, for them to own up to the parents, they're already worried. They know they've done something wrong. They're scared of how the parents will react. There's fear. There's the fear of disappointment, the fear of repercussions. So when they are trying to open up as a parent, if they've done something really wrong, I should not immediately, oh my God, my child did that. The child has already done that, accepted. Now he or she is trying to own up. Give them acceptance, give them love, give them understanding and support, so that when they are owning up this time, they know that even if I mess up next time, there is going to be acceptance and love and forgiveness. And this is for all relationships. Even in the classroom environment, when someone does something and the teacher says, "Who was that?" And majority of the time, most of the time, nobody puts their hand up until the teacher says, "I have the camera, I'm going to find out, or all of you are going to be in trouble." And then everybody looks at the word, "Please own up so that we don't get into, So that fear, if we remove the fear and open up our ways of communication, it can make such a huge difference in every relationship. We know that there's going to be no judgment, no repercussions. Yes, you've done something wrong. There is a penalty. There is a price you have to pay, but not such a high price that you alienate that person. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
When you're talking about the fears in a relationship, what do you think about the fear of abandonment?
Oh, that is, again, it comes back to trust,
Yeah.
right? How your trust issues are. And that is another reason why a lot of people do not want to own up that I did this thing wrong. That person is going to be so disappointed, they may leave me.
Yeah.
Especially, children of parents who are always fighting, are always having issues and everything. There's always that, when they see, what if this thing, escalates in such a way, and our parents will.
Yeah.
And just now, divorce is so common. Every third child in school comes from a broken family. So the D word has become so common, and it is a fear that every child goes through. And again, that fear only comes when there's insecurity, when there is not enough trust, and when there isn't open communication. Because it's not something that you can even ask all the time.
Yeah.
You'll see little kids, when you leave them and you'll tell them, "I'm going, where are you going?
Yeah.
Can I come?" Or they'll be clinging to you. Because it's that they want that comfort of their parent, and they're scared to be left. When they go to a new school, or the first day of the semester or anything, there is that fear that my parent is going to drop me and go off. Either they won't eat well, or they'll wet their bed, or they'll stutter, or they'll have eating disorders, or anything. Because you haven't been abandoned. This is your new school, this is your new environment. But what we don't understand is that we need to explain it to them, communicate with them, talk it out with them, give them that love and assurance. This is a little thing you're going to come back to.
Amazing, amazing. I remember when we were talking and discussing about this topic, and we said relationships, my way or our way. You were sharing about a book by Gary Chapman.
Yeah.
What is it? The love language.
5 love languages.
5 love languages. So how can we connect those into our relationships?
So this, by the way, is an amazing, amazing book, The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman. I advise every couple who is getting married to go through it. There's a quiz that you can do online,
Okay.
but you must read it as well. And it's not just for couples, it's also for parents, it's for everybody. It's an amazing book. So what Gary Chapman talks about is that every individual has a primary love language. And what these love languages are, so there are 5 of them. The first one is words of affirmation. The second one is acts of service. The third one is giving gifts. The fourth one is physical touch. And the fifth one is quality time. So let me explain this to you. As I said, every human being has a primary love language. For example, your love language is giving gifts. So if you want to show love to your loved ones, to your family, to your friends, you will gift them something. Suppose, for example, your spouse, you would like to gift her something. That is your love language. If her love language is words of affirmation, so if you give her that gift, she is not feeling loved. You think in your head, I've done my bit. I've shown my love. But for her, she didn't see that. It's just something, it's a physical, put it aside. For her, it would be telling her, I love you. I care about you. I'm so glad you're my wife. I'm so proud of you. I'm so glad to have this bond with you. Anything, words of love, of affirmation. It doesn't have to be a long shairi or a poem or anything. Something that just validates your relationship. To make it simpler, this is my phone and I would want to charge it. This is an Android. So I'll say, okay, I want to charge my phone. I can't charge it with anything. If there's an iPhone charger over here, if I try and connect it, it's not going to work. But in my head, I'm saying, but it's just a charger. But it still won't work because for an Android, you need an Android charger, and for an iPhone, you need an iPhone charger. Do you see what I'm trying to?
Yeah.
So if what you think, but I'm doing my bit, if she doesn't get it, it's not my problem. It doesn't work that way. So for you to work on your relationships, to open up your communication, you need to know each other's love languages. Once you know each other's love languages, she or he will feel the love in the language that is their primary love language.
Amazing. I had a question about love languages. How do you differentiate love languages with seeking validation?
How do you differentiate?
Differentiate.
See, seeking validation is like you constantly want to be like, to your love to be like, praised or not praised, not
I
praised,
would say,
validated.
yeah, exactly. Because
Right?
you don't feel that this specific person is giving you your love language. So it's like for people who constantly gift other people, because there's somewhere there that it's not just because it's their love language, but it's also because they're trying to seek that validation from them.
Yeah.
And again, I think I'm not sure, but I think it can be connected to the fear of abandonment. I'm not sure.
It could be. It could be. But see, a person who is constantly seeking validation, that means there's something missing inside, right?
Yeah.
They are unsure about where they stand in that person's life.
Yeah.
They are unsure of their status. Like many times I have this young girls and boys who come and they say that I don't have any friends, because the person who I thought was my best friend is someone else's best friend. So they don't feel validated by that person.
Yeah.
And in today's time, it's so difficult for people to stop working or playing or doing whatever and tell you, I'm here for you. I'm here for you. Because end of the day, everybody's busy.
Yeah.
Nobody has the time to constantly, and when a person gets more needy and wants more validation, it becomes more and more difficult for the other person to be doing that all the time. Yes, I love you. Yes, it is something that we need to do. But then what we need to do is, and if we feel that we are with somebody who needs constant validation, we should make sure that our actions and our words are such that that person should not need reassurance all the time. If the person is needing reassurance, not necessarily that that person is needy. It may be that we are not giving enough.
No. Yeah.
See? And many a time this happens with children. When parents are working and when they come home and they have a meal to prepare and they are exhausted from a long day, and the child comes, look, mom, I made this, or look, mom, this, and they don't get that. And that is where they need that reassurance and love. I'm not saying that every parent should drop everything, and I understand you're exhausted as well, and you are working to give them a better life. But that balance is so important. And when that balance is not met, you will see the repercussions in different ways. As I said, needing validation or mental health or physical health or any kind of issue will come up. And when something like this comes up, you need to understand that there is a problem.
Excellent. We'll definitely continue this thought process and this conversation in the Q&A because it's a riveting conversation. But right now, it's time for us to go to our Kahoot. So let's put the Kahoot up. I was looking at the scores today. I still haven't put them together, but there are some fast fingers we've got over here. People answering
For
the
sure.
Kahoot very, very fast. So let's give it about 2 minutes for people to join.
Yes, we have the game pin code, which is 9632200. And we have the QR code as well. We're going to give you a few minutes to sign in.
Yeah, just like always, please remember to put in your exact name that you've used every single day. That way, it's easier to tally the scores. And yeah, so we can put up the leaderboard tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely. And I've seen a few familiar names I was competing with last year. So that's great.
I think
It's
you're missing.
Good. It's good to see you all.
You're missing being on that side more, huh?
I don't know if I'm missing it, but for sure. I mean, I think the prize I got was definitely worth it. Alhamdulillah.
Fantastic. Yes. So day 4, and it's just yesterday I got a message from someone saying that this well-being challenge, being in this space, is just something that we don't want to get out of. Alhamdulillah, they're enjoying it, and this is what we just hope for. That was our goal at the start, that we all take away, even us as hosts over here,
making a difference.
trying to take something away from it.
At least one thing that touches them. That's our main intention.
All right, so we'll give it another 15 seconds, please. Each and every person to get on to Kahoot themselves. Please log in if you haven't. 9632200.
Okay, I think we can start with our Kahoots.
Okay, yeah. Are we ready? Let's get started.
We all ready? Is everyone here? Okay, there we go. Okay.
Okay, so question 1. Do you think being unhappy in your relationship can affect your health? Is it yes or is it no? Okay, a lot of people have answered very fast. I don't even think we need that much time for this.
I mean, there are only 2 options. Which could it be?
Is it red or is it blue?
You're confusing them, I think.
I'm adding more options. Okay, 5 seconds to go. Fastest finger first. And the correct answer is yes. Not a single incorrect answer. Fantastic. Well done, everyone.
Amazing. And question number 2 is, what is more important in a relationship, respect or tolerance? Which is it, respect or tolerance?
What if it's tolerating respectfully? Or respecting tolerantly?
And yes, the correct answer is respect.
Excellent, excellent. Question number 3. Which of these form part of the 5 love languages? Is it quality time, gifts, affirmations? Is it gifts, dinners, better sleep, quality time, dinners, affirmations? Or is it dinners, better sleep, acts of service?
I think this one's a bit confusing.
And tricky,
And tricky.
Why did we go with dinners?
Please do read properly.
I think it should be in breakfast.
No, dinners is so much better.
Okay, and the correct answer is most definitely number 1. Those 3 form part of the 5 love languages.
And we have question number 4. Who is the author of the 5 love languages? Is it Gary Lineker? Is it Gary Chapman? Is it Jeraj Chapman? Is it Guy Chapman?
This will confuse you.
This will definitely.
Gary Lineker. No, he was a football player, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he could have authored the book as well.
You never know. And yes, it's Gary Chapman. And the scoreboards are actually really changing.
Great. Question number 5. What are the best ways of communicating your feelings with your loved ones? Is it actively listening, responding, not reacting? Is it speaking in a high-pitched tone? Is it sending them a message on their phone? Or is it write a letter? Don't speak to them. Yeah, I think everyone's already answered this.
They know it.
Everyone, I guess, since everyone's answered it, everyone was actively listening. Correct. That is the correct answer.
And now we have our final question, which is what color is the box for day 4 of the daily activity list? Is it red? Is it blue? Is it black? Or is it brown?
It's not about just seeing the activity and doing the
No,
activity. It's
it's-
about knowing
It's
how the poster looks.
exactly, it's actually mindful reading and observing, I would say.
Absolutely.
And yes, it is blue. Absolutely correct. I can see lots are doing the activities. And in third place, we have Rosmin Wazir. In second, we have Ali Gotsian. And in first place, we have Sayeda Masuma. Very well done to all the participants. Thank you for logging in today for the Kahoot.
Yes, we'll now move on to the Q&A.
Yes.
And please, as always, send in your questions on the chat. Yeah, and inshallah, we'll raise it up with our guest speaker, our professional today. But whilst we're waiting for the questions, I think let's take off from where we had left in the earlier conversation about how we can really speak, how we can communicate with each other. I mean, in today's times, yes, you share the different types of communication, ways of communication, but how do we actually understand each other's love languages? Should we sit down and talk, whether it's a spouse or whether it's a friend? Should we actually sit down and think that, okay, this is what I prefer and this is what I prefer? Or it's with my child, for example, understanding them or asking them, do we need to ask, or is it something that we should just, see?
See, sometimes what you see is not necessarily the truth. And sometimes what people will tell you also, they may say it to make you feel comfortable. If your love language is giving gifts, they won't tell you, don't give me a gift. Who doesn't like a gift, right? But as I said, they may take it, okay, as a nice gesture. But if that is not their love language, it is not landing. So there is a test that you can do online, which will tell you your love language. And I suggest you should do that with your spouse. You should do that with your children. You should do it with your friends and your colleagues so that you know what everybody's primary love language is. You can have more than one. Doesn't have to be just one. You can have more than one. That's one way. Another way is having an open discussion that if I am doing this for you, does it make you happy? Do you feel my love? Or what can I do to make you feel loved? We are so scared to ask this question because we don't know, maybe they may ask for something more than what we can provide. But if the relationship is important, then you have to make the effort. If you're asking the question, be prepared to act on the answer that you're being given. Don't ask just for the sake of asking and putting the tick. Ask because you want to make a difference.
Absolutely. I think we have a question here. Yes, this someone's asking if we can reach out to you directly. And inshallah, we can maybe give out, with your permission, of course, an email or something.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
okay. That will be done later. If anyone else has a question for Sister Shirin, please do post them. She's here and she's answering all your questions. Okay, I had a question. It's something quite different. Um, when you're in a relationship or any relationship, whether it's mother daughter or spouse relationship or even friendships, how do you deal with people gaslighting you? And I think that more than often it happens quite a lot, and we don't we're not aware that it's gaslighting it, because you then start blaming yourself in such a situation, because they're reflecting it back to you,
Yes.
that it's your fault,
Yes.
that you're the problem, that I did a certain thing because you are the one who did a certain thing.
Yeah.
So how do we deal with that?
Yeah. I think the biggest example is what's happening in Gaza right now,
Definitely.
right?
Definitely.
That we play the blame game.
Yes.
That this is happening because you did not leave our place, and that is why we are doing this, and that it's being justified. So similarly, gaslighting is something that is a technique or a way that has been going on since the beginning of time.
Yeah.
That I am doing this because of you. See, if you really, really, really love somebody, before saying anything or doing anything to hurt them, you will think twice. Having said that, sometimes when we say something, the back of our mind, how we justify it is, I'm doing this for their betterment. As you said, sometimes it could be a mother and daughter. Sometimes it could be a friend. In a mother and daughter, the mother may be saying it and thinking and justifying it that so that she improves, so that she doesn't repeat it, not realizing the damage and the consequences that are caused or are being caused to the child. Sometimes a friend will do it, like if her friend, suppose, for example, did not do well in school, in sports, or in a subject or whatever, and she may or he may gaslight that, justifying it, that I'm doing it so as to push that person so that they do better. There is no justification for gaslighting anybody, because the scars that come with it, they don't go away. It's so easy to say, but because nobody has the right to hurt anybody, no matter what the reason. If we were to do this in our daily life and say, okay, God will forgive us, it doesn't work that way. You are responsible for your actions, you are responsible for your words. And we tend to take it so lightly, so easily. We do it and we've forgotten. But the repercussions are so bad, so severe. And as I said, that when somebody is hurt or upset or miserable, the side effects, the physical and emotional, effects are so bad. You can't turn the clock back. By just saying sorry, it doesn't go away. You've hurt and ruined a person's life. You've messed their mental equilibrium. You've lowered their self-esteem, and you've really hurt them. And to move forward from that is so difficult. And one of the first things that you will see is people will disconnect with you. There are certain people who will confront you. I am no longer with you. I am no longer part of this relationship or this circle because I am feeling. But there are other people who will quietly disengage themselves with those people. And that relationship is never going to be the same again. They say if you take glass and there's a crack in it, you will never be able to mend it, no matter with what technology you may have today. We're human beings. We don't forget. It's not just the words, it's the actions of how somebody makes you feel. So if someone tells you, I care for you, it's not just their words, it's the actions as well, how they act and react around you.
Yeah, and I think it affects all the other relationships.
It does,
you're in,
definitely.
right?
Definitely. It's a domino effect.
Yeah.
And the moment someone starts feeling unloved and they disconnect from you, their self-esteem takes such a toll that they feel, okay, maybe there's something wrong with me. This person that I was so close to suddenly is acting so difficult, or is being so mean, or is attacking me on all fronts. Maybe I am the problem. And they start going lower and lower, and you've lost that person.
Yeah. And you're losing yourself.
Yourself as well.
Yeah.
Never mind the damage that you're doing. And those people who have a habit of gaslighting,
Yeah.
they start losing their connections with people. If you see in a work environment, if that happens, if a boss has a tendency of doing that, they lose their staff all the time. Nobody wants to stay in that environment.
Yeah.
You'll see certain companies, there's always a vacancy. People work, they reach the end of they want to move out.
Absolutely.
What about with children in today's times? Children, or even between two, spouses. We're in a technology world nowadays. Communication has become even more difficult. We
True.
sit amongst each other, but we're either all on a device. How can we overcome that? I mean, what are the tools that we can implement, or the steps we can take to try and find the right connect?
As you're saying, in today's time of technology and gadgets and everything, children's love language these days are gadgets.
Gadgets.
When we were kids, our love languages were chocolates
Yeah.
or having a bicycle and going out for a
Still the love
ride or
language,
playing.
chocolates. Yeah.
Yes, some of us still do have that love language or that. But my point is that we had, simpler needs. But with time and technology today, if you want to show your love to your child, get me the latest iPad or the latest phone, the latest apps, give me money for these apps and everything. That would be their love language, I would say. But the thing is that what we don't realize is many a times, maybe out of guilt for not having time with them, or for convenience that I'm busy and I want the child to be occupied, we give them these things. And then we say, my child is not listening to me. My child doesn't. You will see babies, children with parents with babies, 6 month old, and they know their way around a phone. When I was 6 months old, I don't think I could even sit, I'm sure I could sit. But their minds are so sharp, I mean, you would be amazed at their ability. Sometimes we are struggling and they've gone to your pictures or they're like, little kids are like, so give them. I'm not saying don't deprive them, because peer pressure is another challenge that these kids face. But then there should be limitations to everything. A lot of households these days have that when they're having their meals, either the TV is on, you're watching TV, or everybody's on their phone, or someone's having a conversation, and it's justified. I'm working. It's community work. I'm teaching. I understand. But if you make a decision that meal times is when we are all going to be away from our phones, this is where we are going to connect. It's possible. There's certain people that I had this couple, they were having serious issues. One of them was always late. Always late. Whenever they would be invited at some place, the husband would be like, they would reach an hour late, and it was having a serious strain on their marriage. And when they came to see me, and he's like, I'm trying, but and the wife would be like, why can't you organize yourself? Why can't you be better prepared? Have your timings, have your agenda, set an alarm, whatever. But for whatever reason, he just couldn't. And he said, I just can't. It's impossible. So I asked him, do you like to travel? He goes, yeah, I love to. Do you travel? I'm like, yeah. Where do you go? I went here, I went there. How? Oh, I fly by Emirates, whatever. I said, so tell me, does Emirates come and collect you from your place, or do you have to go to the airport? And he's like, of course I have to go to the airport. Yeah. How many hours prior? 3 hours. How do you manage that? You know what time your flight is. If you do not make it within a certain time, there'll be traffic. You have to leave from home. You have to eat. You have to pack. You'll be queuing up. There'll be all the paperwork, whatever. Then you will board your flight. How did you do that? Have you ever missed a flight? No. So priorities. Where you want to, you do it. Yeah. So where there's a will, there's a way. Right? Sometimes there's certain things that we just can't. I just can't do without my coffee. I need a cigarette. But you do it in the month of Ramadan. Right? So again, priorities. If you prioritize something or someone, if it really matters, nothing is impossible.
Absolutely. We have a question here. What are the things we can do in general to get better with all our relationships?
Be authentic. What you are is what everybody should see.
Mm.
If you do not like something, let them know, but in a way that is not disrespectful. If you want something, let them know in such a way that they understand you, that you are not being difficult, but you are being authentic, because the relationship you have with them is more important than likes and dislikes. Keep your communication open. Many times it's not the words that we speak, it's the tone we speak in.
Yeah.
Talking to your brother or sister, authoritative tone.
Mm.
Talking to your children, authority. Get me the. Why can't you say can you instead of give me or do it or get it done? Little changes in our words, little changes in our expression. Relationships are like a plant. For a plant to blossom, it needs oxygen, sunlight, chlorophyll. If I've got my
Yes.
biology right, right? I'm sure my teacher is watching. You need these things for a plant to grow in a healthy environment. Similarly, in a relationship, you need love, you need respect, you need communication, you need acceptance. If one of these things are missing, that relationship will not flourish 100%. There will always be a little disconnect. There will always be a little secrecy. I'm a baker, right? And I bake stuff. I have a friend of mine who I really hope is not watching today. She's always trying to get her husband to go on a diet. So she packs for him a healthy lunch. When he comes back in the evening, he has green tea. Dinner is like grilled and soups and salad. Guess what he does? He orders brownies from me. Every Monday, he's like, listen, my weekend was too healthy. Because he's my customer and customer confidentiality, I cannot tell her anything. I cannot tell him anything.
Yeah.
But it bothers me that she's trying so hard. And so, why isn't he losing? I'm doing everything right,
Yeah.
Must be his metabolism. I can't see he's ordering brownies, triple chocolate brownies for me. You see, but reach a middle point. Don't be so strict or so adamant or so fixed in your behavior, in your decisions, in your, communication, that the other person has to hide from you.
Yeah.
If you have open communication, there should be a middle ground where you both accept each other's perspectives. I love brownies. Okay, then instead of ordering a batch, have one. It's my body, it's my stomach. I want to have what I want to have. I understand. But she is doing this for his good health. See, so that communication has to be there so that they can reach a middle ground that is good for both of them.
What if the poor guy is saying that
I hope they're not. I hope she's not watching.
she's not respecting me and letting me eat brownies?
So there you go. Again, it comes to tolerance and
Tolerance.
respect. See,
Yeah.
everything is so interconnected.
Definitely. I had a question, Sister Shirin. It's a very important question, especially for this generation, because you had mentioned that there is an increase in divorces, and I have seen this myself around. I have a lot of friends as well who have been through such cases. When it comes to broken marriages, broken engagements, also broken relationships, and I've been through one myself as well. So how do you deal with something that, because once that happens again, like you said, your self-esteem goes really low, despite the fact that sometimes a relationship just doesn't work, or a marriage just doesn't work, or two people are not compatible, or directly that maybe it is the other person's fault, but you find fault in yourself. What advice do you have for these women and these girls who are currently going through and breaking it in a broken engagement? It takes a lot of courage to come out of such a relationship, especially because you have identified that it's a problem, and I feel like we scrutinize too much on these people, whether because but we need to understand that it takes a lot of courage. It's not easy, because we say that it's the easy path. No, it's not easy at all.
Don't break the stereotype.
Exactly. And I think the previous generation just stayed on with it, but my generation don't want to tolerate it because there is no respect in it. So what's one advice you would give these women and girls who have gone through such traumatic, and it can be traumatizing
It
as
is.
well. Yeah.
So, firstly, you may not like this, but it's not just the girl who suffers,
Definitely.
right?
Definitely.
Everybody who goes into a relationship wants their happily ever after.
Yeah.
Be it a girl or a boy, a man or a woman.
Yeah.
Nobody goes there with an expiry date.
Mm.
Everybody wants to see their children, their grandchildren, the sunset, everything.
Mm.
But sometimes things don't work out. Factor number one is you're not compatible. Factor number two is ego. Factor number three is outside influence.
Mm.
Factor number four could be abuse. Abuse doesn't just have to be physical, it can be mental, emotional. There's so many ways of abusing somebody, not even realizing that you're abusing somebody. Factor number five could be family or finance. So there are so many things that play a role into why a relationship did not work out. And the sad part is that when a relationship does not work out, the first people to hurt you are your own loved ones. You are judged more by your own inner circle of family and friends. What is not understood is it's very, very difficult to cut off or break off in a relationship, because when you entered, you were in love. But then, as they say, love is blind and marriage is an eye opener.
Mm.
And as you correctly said it, that in the previous generation, I wouldn't say even my parents' generation, a lot of the marriages were sustaining because, one, they would work at it harder, sacrifice and compromise was a lot more, tolerance and respect, the scale was very different. And if in today's time, if someone says, I cannot take it and I want to break it off, that person must have reached the end of their threshold. Nobody simply says, oh, it's not like Wi-Fi, right? There's a bad connection, I'll try a different.
Yeah.
It's not that way. People do try and give it their best. There are certain cases where compatibility or maturity is not up to par. And then it's just better to call it off because you're
Yeah.
causing more harm than good.
Yeah.
But in some cases, they are deeper and more serious issues. And I don't believe that today's generation is willing to stay in a relationship just for the sake of family or for the sake of society. And I'm not asking them to. If you feel your relationship cannot get better, if there is no way to fix it, then it's better to separate and live happily on your own than to live together in misery. And there is no stigma or shame in today's time if you have gotten divorced or if you come from a broken marriage. There is nothing wrong. It takes a lot of guts for a person to say, I am done. It takes a lot of patience. You have gone through a lot and then you say, enough is enough. So if you have done that, it's a pat on your back. You did your best, if you did your best. If you immediately decide, okay, this is not working for me, then I would say work harder at it. But if you have seen that I couldn't and both of us were incompatible, then it's never going to work. I'm going back to my iPhone and Android chargers. If it's not meant to be, it's not going to work, no matter how hard you try.
Yeah.
And that is where you need your support system. And that you only get when those around you love, respect, and understand you. And these gaslighters and all these places, this is where they're waiting in the wings.
Yeah.
That let me make it more difficult. But we have to understand that what someone is going through today could be us tomorrow. So sympathy, empathy, patience, understanding, all these factors are so like threads, that are entwined in all relationships. And we should be making sure that when someone is going through like this, we should have a support system. You know what? You're not alone. If your inner circle cannot do that, reach out for help. Because those who do go through it, they know what hell they've gone through.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to point a finger, but you're not walking in those shoes. You don't know where the sharp pains are.
Absolutely. Very well put. Thank you. Thank you.
Superb. Thank you so much, Sister Shirin. I think that's all the time we have for today, although we could continue on and on. But inshallah, we'll share Sister Shirin's contact. So those who want to get in touch with her and continue this conversation, I mean, we could have gone on for 2 hours because, I'm just seeing the brownies. But thank you so much for being in our studio. And we've reached that time of day when we go through the book of the day.
Yes, thank you, Sister Shirin, for such a lovely experience and insight on a lot of questions that I think a lot of people had. Okay, so like always, so we're going to end with a book that we recommend that is on mental health. And today we have a book called The Pivot Ear by Brianna Wiest. So this is an excerpt from her book. One day you will realize that happiness is not what your house looks like, but how you love the people within its walls. Happiness is not finding success by a certain time, but finding something you love so much, time itself seems to disappear. Happiness is not thinking you have earned the world's approval, but waking up each day and feeling so at peace within your own skin, quietly anticipating the day ahead, unconcerned with how you are perceived. Happiness is not having the best of everything, but the ability to make the best of anything. Happiness is knowing you did what you could with what you were given. Happiness is not something that comes to us when every problem is solved and all things are perfectly in place, but in the shining silver linings that remind us of the light of day is always there if we slow down enough to notice. And with everything that's going around in the world, I think this is apt in looking at life from a different perspective. As people in the world suffer today, they find happiness in the smallest of things and are forever grateful to the Almighty. And I think there is so much that we can learn from them. So let's not forget our watermelons for the day.
Thank you, Sister Shazia. Thank you, Sister Shirin. Thank you to all of you who have logged in today. We've gone a bit overboard, but inshallah, we look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Same time, same place. For now, good night. God bless. Goodbye.
Nafis. Thank you.